every goddamn year with this stupid athletic department. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look at last night. Last night, baseball game, regional final. We've been playing great all weekend. We're up 9-6 in the top of the ninth, and we blow it. That was the last straw. That was the last straw that I have for this athletic department. So, what has happened in this past year that has made me super angry right now? You know what? It's everything. Everything from how it's built, how the school functions, and how we give money to the worst fucking coaches of all time. It's ridiculous. Where do I start? Football. Mark Stoops. He's been here for a long time. Yes, he's done incredible things here. But you don't pay him $40 million in a buyout created 4 years ago and expect it to not blow up in your face. And look, we ran with the motivated talk. I know. We were praying that he was actually motivated. He was not. He was just wanting that check and getting out of Lexington so he can enjoy his life in Texas, where he is with Steve Sarkisian, who's going to choke in the playoffs again. And so, football season. Your quarterback, you should start Cutter Boley at the start of the year. You know what you do instead? You start the freaking 7th-year grandpa, Zach Calzada, who doesn't even throw for 100 yards passing against fucking Toledo. Toledo. We only won by 8 points against fucking Toledo. And then, the following week, Zach Calzada doesn't have it against Ole Miss. And what does he do? He puts in Cutter Boley in way too late. And we lose the game because Mark Stoops cannot manage the clock or manage the game plan. And then we see that Cutter Boley's improving and seeing like, oh, we might actually have something at quarterback. But what do we do instead? In the biggest game of the season, homecoming at home against Texas. We have a chance in overtime to punch it in from first and goal from like the own 4-yard line. What do? We do like 4 straight run plays, and we get stuffed on every single one. And Texas would win the game after that. And look, I know we're not a football school. I understand that. But you got to be able to have some mind capability to be able to win in the SEC in football. And they didn't have it last year. And it was basically exposed when we got smallished by Vanderbilt, which is a team that we used to kill all the time. And then the following week, we get shut out by Louisville, who has lost 3 games in a row up to that point. 41-0. The end of Mark Stoops' era. He gets fired the next day. Thank God Mitch Barnhart had the balls to fire him. Or else we'd be stuck in the same situation going next year. But you got to be thinking, yeah, it was a terrible football season going 5-7. But hey, that's not our main point. We're a basketball school. Mark Pope has one of the best transfer classes in the country coming, $22 million roster. Let's go win a national title. And it looked like that early against Purdue in the exhibition. Number 1 Purdue, we beat them by 15. We're screaming, national title, number 9, baby. We're going to get it. And then the game starts. And then the Louisville game happens. We lose. At first, I'm like, okay, that's a heartbreaking loss, but we'll bounce back from it. No panic. And then Michigan State happens. And then the panic button hits. The season turns into a complete and utter mess. No consistency on offense. Very inconsistent defense. Losing to teams you shouldn't even lose to. At home versus North Carolina, we couldn't get the broadside of the barn. at Auburn, you lost to Stephen Pearl, a Nepo baby. A Nepo baby who didn't even make the tournament despite Bruce Pearl crying for it. Mark Pope went from year one being, oh, this is going to be a great tenure of Mark Pope, to now being, he might get fired next year. And it's all because of how he coaches and how he fails to hit recruits. And we saw that a couple months ago in the offseason where he could not hit star players that worth a shit. He whiffed on Rob Wright, Robbie Freeman, and most importantly, Tyron Stokes, who was originally crystal ball to become to Kentucky. And he went to Kansas because Mark Pope is a loser. It's unbelievable. We should not be losing by 19 in the second round to Iowa State. That's not the standard. The standard is to win national championships. And we are not living that right now. We haven't done that since in the past decade and a half. Near past decade and a half. So what does this leave me? A football team that couldn't compete in the SEC regularly. A basketball team that shit the bed. And by the way, throughout all this time, I haven't mentioned, Mitch Barnhart decided he was going to retire, which is a good thing. He done a lot of good stuff here, and honestly, he deserves to get retired. But look what happens. The president of the University of Kentucky, you know what he does? He gives Mitch Barnhart a $1 million contract to a job that doesn't exist at all. Like sports inclusivity in the workforce. What is that? And then we see it as like, this is kind of suspicious. I wonder what's happening. And so, what this leads to is, in his retirement press conference, Mitch Barnhart calls 3 knuckleheads and that he wasn't going to sit down in a rocking chair and eat hay and watch a gold parachute land in front of him. I think you know what the 3 knuckleheads he was referring to, but I won't mention them here. And so, this is all happening during the tournament and all like the basketball season. And so basically, for basketball, we have, as a fan base, we recognize that we have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived by Mark Pope and the Kentucky basketball program and the athletic department as a whole. So where does this leave me? Now, we got a football team that can't win, a basketball team that can't compete for championships anymore. But what about the baseball team? Well, first off, I'm probably just going to mention this real quickly. The softball team went 1 win in the SEC. 1 win total in the SEC. That is embarrassing, but I don't really care about softball that much, so I'm not going to rag too hard on it. So, baseball. We're ranked preseason top 25. I believe we were 18th. A lot of really good players on this baseball team. We have the ability to make a College World Series, and we still do. We're still alive. But what happens is we start really good in a non-conference schedule without Tyler Bell, by the way. And so what happens is first SEC series, we sweep Alabama. We're on cloud 9. We're thinking we're going to be a contender in this conference. We're top 15 in the nation. And then everything falls apart. The real ugly head of the bullpen rears its ugly head. And so what happens is this: we got a team that doesn't get swept, by the way. They don't get swept at all in the season, but they cannot finish rubber matches to save their life. So basically, what's happening is we have one ace that is doing incredible things. Jackson Jenkins is one of the best pitchers in the SEC. Followed by a mashed pile of shit and doggy. And it almost cost us a tournament bid. It almost did. We only won 2 series, the other series being Tennessee. And so, now, where does this leave me? We get in. I'm excited we just barely got into the tournament when we should have been competing for a regional host. And by the way, we had lost series to Missouri, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt. And LSU. Some of the worst teams in the SEC that didn't make the tournament. And yet we still got in. Despite all the crying from the Mercer fans or whatever. And so we get in. I'm not expecting much, honestly. But all of a sudden, we start playing well. We win the first 2 games of the regional against Wake Forest and West Virginia, who's hosting. And I'm starting to think, hold up. A path is opening here. And so, last night, what happened last night? It started terrible, but then we started clawing our way back and we got up to a free run lead in the top of the 9th. And by the way, in our side of the bracket, UCLA was out. They were out. We could have hosted it if we won this game in the Super Regionals. And so, we're up 3, top of the 9th. The reliever pitcher that's been up there has had a great day. He's been incredible. I don't think he had allowed a hit up to that point. And so what happens is ground ball to the third baseman, who's a freshman who's not even supposed to be in there because Luke Lawrence had an injury in the Wake Forest game. He whiffs on the ball. They get a infield single. And so what happens is it manifests, it keeps getting worse. They put in new pitchers. All this what happens. There were Carryals putting the Jackson Jokin warming up to try to finish this. Why was he not in the game? Why was he not in the game at all? Instead, you put in a pitcher who hasn't pitched since May 1st. And then what happens? A balk. They tie the game, and then the same pitcher allows a 2-run deep shot to allow West Virginia to take the lead, and they would ultimately win the game. That was the final straw I had. And if I know, we still have a chance to win today, but that was the morale killer. If they don't win today, and if they don't play Jokin at all, fire everyone. Legit, fire everyone. You're all fucking fired. Get out. And so, this leaves with an athletic department in 2025 to 2026 athletic season in complete disaster. The only thing we have going for us right now is fucking volleyball. Volleyball. Yes, you heard that right. And now, thankfully, Kenny Brooks and the women's basketball team looks like they're going to be good. Because holy hell. Because now we still have a clown and Mark Bope still coaching us. He's still whiffing on recruits. He might whiff on Milan today. If that happens, he's done. He is done here. This university is a complete joke. A complete and utter joke. I pray that Will Stein can lead us to glory because I can't take this anymore. I'm getting sick of it. It's inexcusable in the new NIL era to be so incompetent at the modern era. And now, legitimately, I don't know what to say at this point. It's unbelievable. It's incredible how time and time again we get punched in the dick. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it all. I'm tired of Kentucky losing. I'm tired of us being the punching bag of the SEC when Indiana and Vanderbilt are having football success. Freaking Kurt Cignetti won a national title at Indiana. What? What are we doing here? And time again, we can't beat the teams that we're supposed to be. We can't beat those stupid orange Tennessee Volunteers in football ever. Their smug, Rocky Tough, and their smug moves. They are disgusting. And we can't beat them. We can't beat the stupid team from the stupid state, the stupid colors. They're Rocky Tough. Woo, woo, woo! Get out of here! And now Florida's passing us in basketball, too. And we can't do shit in baseball. So, yeah, that's the state of the Kentucky athletic department right now. A complete and utter joke. This is a disaster. And it might get worse, depending on how Mark Pope does next year. But hey, at least Kenny Brooks is doing something. I'm done. That's all I got for y'all. Makes me want to puke. What the fuck?